This is how you should be thinking about it. This is how I think about it. And I know it's hard. I have to remind myself of this sometimes, a lot of times. But I want you to think about this. I want you to think about the Bitcoin reserve. Because will it be a big deal? Yes. Will it be a massive deal? Yes. Beyond our comprehension, size of deal. But when you look at things as a buyer instead of a seller, it changes your whole perception on this. And I've talked about this in comparison to like a farmer, where a farmer, I think that farmers are actually the closest thing to Bitcoiners that exist out there. Farmers, they understand being a buyer versus being a seller, because farmers, they think very long term. They think about generations to come. They buy land, they farm the land, and they expect to acquire more land in the future to grow their farm, to grow their generational wealth. That's what they have. They don't have a pension. They probably don't own a lot of stocks. All of their wealth is in their land. And if you think about a farmer, do you think that a farmer wakes up in the morning and he checks the price of his land? And then he goes out and works, and then he comes back at lunch and he logs onto the computer again and checks the price of his land again. And he's hoping that it goes up every day, 5 times a day? No. If anything, he's actually looking for deals. He's hoping the value of land, he can get a deal on it so he can buy more land. He can buy his neighbor's land, or he can buy a section down the road that he can farm and expand their wealth, expand their generational wealth. And so with this, yes, a Bitcoin reserve would be great. Yes, it would make us richer overnight. But if you're in the business of wanting to acquire more, they can take as long as they want. They can take as long as they want to introduce this. So when you look at things from being a buyer versus being a seller, honestly, let's say that Trump went through with the Bitcoin reserve next week, price shot to $1 million. Are you selling it? Or are you just going to get less as this goes on? You're going to take your time, your energy, you're going to find a way to convert that to Bitcoin or get paid in Bitcoin, but you're going to get a whole lot less than you would have. So if you're selling it, if you're planning on selling your Bitcoin, yes, Bitcoin strategic reserve is great. If you're planning on buying more, acquiring more, then it's not good. It's really not. So think like a buyer. Think like a buyer. And the longer the US government, and so maybe just think about it like a farmer in terms of like, if let's say that you had a bunch of land, you had a farm, and all of a sudden you hear rumblings of like this big megacorp farm company that's coming to town, and they're going to start buying land. So as a farmer, you're like, okay, that's good. The value of my land is going to go up. But you're also like, okay, well, I'm not going to be able to grow anymore because it's going to be out of my scope. I'm not going to be able to afford this land anymore because this big corporation, or in this case, the US government, is going to come up and buy all this scarce land. So it's good if you're selling it. If the farmer wanted to sell his land to this megacorp, then that's a good thing. But if you're planning on keeping it in your family for the next generations, then that's a bad thing. The big corporation coming to your area and buying up land, that's a bad thing. And that's exactly what the US government is doing here. So it all depends on how you look at it. I think that if you understand that aspect of it, then you really can't lose, right? Because you're going to be happy if it goes up in the sense of like your net worth is up, but you're also happy if it takes them 2 years to do, because then you can acquire more land around you.